when 9/11 initially happened, when I got home, I walked through the door. Mama, being the emotional woman she is, who really cares and gets involved, she still had tears down her face because she was so moved by what she was seeing, and she didn't even have anybody in New York. You know, we're in Georgia, and she just felt for those people. She walked through the door, and I said, "Mom, I think I just witnessed something historical, like a complete idiot." And Mom looked at me, and I wasn't in 6th, 7th grade, and she goes, "You're an idiot. Do you realize what happened?" I said, "What?" "I don't know. Some buildings got blown up." She said, "There was people in those buildings." And I was like, "Well, a lot of them?" And she sat me down, and she pointed at the TV, and she said, "Do you see that little speck that just came off that building?" I was like, "Uh-huh." She goes, "That was a person jumping, Joshua. This was an attack. This was an event that you should not take lightly." And I think it started setting in. I was still sort of jittery from not, getting let out of school early. But, yeah, I think after a while it started setting in.
In Iraq, I took I was the saw gunner. We got ambushed, and this is the one I tore my ACL and MCL. We got ambushed, and I'm sitting there firing, and I'm the last two saw gunner, me and Felix. Do you remember Felix? Yo, bro. He's Peruvian, or not Peruvian, anyway. We're the last two saw gunners in, and I had already tore my ACL and MCL, and I'm running in on a torn ACL and MCL tendons. And I'm the saw gunner, so I'm just like, wah, just let them have it, just letting them have it. And I turn around and everybody's gone. Or no, right before that, that's right, I got more bumps and bruises. Right before that, one of the guys, as they went left, their front sight post came and connected with me here. And I still got, where the guns, it goes up like that. That's from them jamming the front sight post, went right in my mouth. And then I turned around after that, and everybody was gone. I still had 3 good rushes to get back to the gate, and then Prosper came back and got me. He dropped all of his gear. He went to just cami tops and bottoms and ran out the gate and just hauled me in. He's like, "Empty the mag, dude, empty the mag." I'm like, "Wah!" I just see the water going tick, 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 tick. I'm just like, holy shit, they're getting close. And I'm like, I got Prosper carrying me with no fucking armor, and just dragging me in around the gate, and I just remember my pain. I felt like I thought it was shot in the leg. The Prosper owed my fucking life too. The guy fucking saved me, because felt like I was running on a flat tire, if that makes any sense. I was just running, and it was like it was kept buckling underneath me, and I just remember this searing pain. I was like, I was shot. But I was like, just keep going, and then it was too much, and then I finally almost collapsed. I went down to a knee, and I'm just firing. I'm just like going to allow them to cover to get in, and then I see Prosper coming out. Thank you for coming to get me, man.
We're playing the hearts and minds, as well as the terrorist cells that might have been operating in that vicinity. We know that they're not going to use indirect fire weapons on us, on our fob, because we're engrossed in the town. We're meshed in there, because if you fire an indirect fire weapon, you're not entirely sure where it's going to land. Wind could pick up, your calculations could be off. You could blow up, somebody's house. You not even hit us. And it looked very bad on you. It makes conducting your operations that much harder. And we knew that. And so we were engrossed in their town. Now the big fob, the main base, which was kind of out in the open, and who the fuck set that up, I don't fucking know. But we were out in the open, basically, and we were on the main base. We were digressing. We were almost ready to come back home, and you hear a big doom out of nowhere, big explosion, and about 10 seconds later you hear the whistle. And it actually whistles. It whistles about 4 or 5 seconds, and all of a sudden it will just fade off, and then you're just waiting for the big hit, and you don't know where that hit's gonna be. You don't know if it's gonna be on the top of your fucking nutsack, or you don't know if it's gonna be way off. So I can remember hearing the thud, hearing the whistle, and waiting. That's all you're doing, waiting. Am I gonna die? The next thing I'm gonna see is black. I've been so pissed off. If there was an afterlife, if there is an afterlife, I'd be pissed the fuck off sitting up in that bitch. Like, really? Are you fucking serious?
When I was getting shot at, I'm gonna shoot back, and you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything. You feel like it was my job. It was my duty. And that's the thing. That's what the military wants soldiers to feel. Because they can't have morals and values get in the way of war. That would be the end of war on Earth. So There's a story though that I always tell, not how I killed somebody, about how I saved somebody. And we were entering an area that is really, covered with Taliban, and people get ambushed all the time. So as we're going, we hear on the radio, we have radios that pick up their radios, and an Afghan interpreter interpreting what they say. So the interpreter is in our truck. I'm in a 7-ton truck, and there's me looking out towards the valley, the other guys on the other side, and the interpreter. So as I hear the Taliban talking, the interpreter is saying that they're watching us. They're watching my truck, and they have a spotter, a certain spy that goes out from the tree line that looks like an average peasant, but he's calling mortars, giving the enemy our position so they could, track mortars, close in, whatever. So anyway, they somehow coordinated the signal to where they thought the spotter was, and I look over and there's a guy. There's a guy in the middle of the field looking really shady, and he's got this big metal thing under his jacket. And I'm sitting there, he's probably about 350 yards away. I've got an M16, I got tracer rounds, and I have an RCO, as well as 203 grenades. So I'm looking at him, and my platoon commander is right next to me, and he goes, "Tao, do you have him?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir. I have the supposed spotter in my scope." And I'm tracking this guy real slow. I've never been so concentrated in my life. And then my platoon commander goes, "Tao, if you see anything shady, if you see anything, don't be afraid to take the shot. Don't be afraid to take the shot." I mean, who knows? So I keep looking at the silver thing. He's reaching for it. I'm about 100% sure, 99% sure it's a gun or a rocket launcher. Okay? So I wanted to shoot, and I think anybody else in my position would have. But something inside me just said I couldn't do it. I just looked at him because I didn't feel right about it. So about 5 minutes go by, still following this guy, doing all this stuff. Anyway, he gets to the point where he's close enough where I could zoom in, and he goes around the corner, reaches down, and grabs his son. He's about 4 years old. So this guy was a farmer that hid his son from all this shit that was in my scope. And that big metal thing that I thought was a gun was actually a big thermos full of water. So I was in the position where I could destroy several people's lives without any hesitation, but I just didn't. And to me, that's cooler than taking your life is.
My favorite memory. I have a lot of memories I really love. One of them is at boot camp of this fat kid getting pelted with cookies because he refused to eat his vegetables, and the drill instructor made us throw all our cookies at him. And then there's this one time where I took a bunch of empty ammo cans and stacked them up. Oh man, I stacked them up, as tall as a man and a half, and drove the Gator, which is like a four-wheeled vehicle, straight through. That shit was a hoot. Going to a strip club for the first time, seeing the ocean from the Iwo Jima LHD-7, I think it is, for the first time. I mean, there's so many good memories, really.
How did what effect did 9/11 have upon your life?
When 9/11 initially happened,
What is the best memory of one of your fellow brothers?
The trips back home, I'd say. We weren't supposed to make trips on the weekends, and Van and I would sneak off on Friday if we got Libo early, and we'd drive down for the weekend all the way, the 12-hour trip, and then turn around after 24 hours here and drive the 12-hour trip back. And just the car ride itself was something fun.
When we were deployed in 08, Wheeler, this night operation for curfew, we go to this bus stop, and a lot of people start running towards the back. So me and him start searching the back area, and he takes the right, I take the left, and we're looking, and so I turn right and I see him, and he's laying in the ground. I thought something has happened to him. I'm running, scared as hell, to see what's going on with him. He wasn't responding, he wasn't moving. The worst thought was coming through my head, and all of a sudden I hear, "Ah, fuck! Who the fuck put this hole here?" And sure, I mean, he fell in a hole, but he just lay there, but he wasn't responding to what I was saying. I guess he thought it was funny not to say anything.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Well, this one time we broke off from the squad, and it was me and Bernard, and Urea and Haddock were providing security down this alleyway. And me and Bernard had just strolled up into a cul-de-sac, just like a half circle of mud huts in kind of like a curve, and the road coming to meet it, just like American cul-de-sac. But and as soon as we got there, you know, I'm looking at cross coverage, I'm looking at different kind of ways somebody could hit us, and here's Bernard strolling around talking to the kids and trying to get them, the rest of them come out, because a lot of them just poked out of their heads out of nowhere and shit, poked your heads out of fucking places you didn't think kids could even get to. And you know, it turns to the Afghan Brady Bunch real quick. And like, there was this little boy that kept poking his head out that Bernard, you know, wanted to befriend. And he got down. I'll never forget this. I was looking around and I was like, God, I don't really like this dude. I don't like it just being us two. You know, I got your back, but I really don't like this kind of situation. He goes, no man, it's good, it's good. And he gets down, he puts down his weapon, and he takes off his Kevlar. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, that's alright. And he puts a knee, and takes a knee, and he goes, come here. And he gets this little kid, the smallest little boy there, to come out. And he gets it to him, and he gives him a hug, and gives him a piece of candy. And little boy smiles and lingers around for a couple of seconds, then runs off to do what the fuck he was doing before. And I'll never forget that. That made me proud to be part of that fire team.
Why'd you pick the 03 field?
Kind of suckered into it. I was young, and the recruiter said, you want to jump out of helicopters, kick in doors, and blow shit up? I said, hell yeah. And so there I went.
I didn't want to join the military and tell people I do supply and I issue gloves. I want to tell people that I blew shit up. I stormed the castle. I attacked Taliban. I went on awesome missions with huge trucks and spied on terrorists. That's fun. That's what people think the military is like. And I don't want to give myself a false impression of that. And that's why I did it.
I wanted to go and train to kill. And that's what I did every day for 4 years. Train to kill. It's kind of surreal if you think about it.